I mean, it really is just 2 weeks of magnifying onto one football game. And it's crazy the level that the Super Bowl is watched, talked about, how much content is created just for that. You get reporters from all over the world asking the most random questions all over the place, from Republican conspiracy theories to statements on
Wait, what are I
parents
didn't
who
I didn't
locked
hear the
up.
conspiracy theories.
There's a
What are the
lot.
conspiracy theories?
There's a conspiracy theory by some right wingers that it is a Democratic plot to get Joe Biden back in office through the Taylor Swift and Kelce relationship. And
Oh,
someone asked Andy Reid about it, and he's like, "Well, what?" And he's like, "What am I
wait, so
supposed to
how does Taylor
respond?"
Swift help Joe Biden?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But some right wingers are they're locked in. I don't know. It sounds like the 49ers also are getting the short end of the stick on the weekend, practicing in some really muddy fields, getting woken up at 6 a.m. Is the league doing all it can to get the Taylor Swift Super Bowl? And in
Hmm.
some weird way, according to some, get Biden elected? I don't know. It's all conspiracy theory, right? Who knows?
Well, the Chiefs do have home court, so part of the advantage, like home field, isn't just you guys get to wear the dark jerseys. Like it has to matter in the Super Bowl for some way. So the fact that you guys get the quote unquote home practice facilities and home all that stuff, or are you
Yeah.
guys the home team? Are the Niners the home team?
I don't know. I know the Chiefs have gotten
You
the
got the
nice
red jerseys.
facilities. Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that they do play in that stadium more often than the 49ers. The Raiders are divisional rivals. So we have, I think we're just more used to that environment. But it sounds like that environment will be crazier than normal, just over probably even more now, a lot more than what previously was stated. But it looks like about 8,000 plus to get in the door in the nosebleeds. 2.5 mil
Cheap
for
seats.
tickets. I don't. It's crazy. It's crazy. It is. I did see some stat. It is the top five smallest stadium in the league. It is Vegas. Taylor Swift will
Hmm.
be there as well as Usher. And I don't know. Was Beyonce rumored to be in the
Taylor
San
Swift and
Francisco? I don't
Beyonce
know.
in the
I
same
don't
room
know.
right now.
I don't know. You gotta
These
know.
times, I feel like there's
Gotta
going to
do.
be a civil war breaks out if both those people are in the same stadium together.
Yeah.
Do
Let
you
me
need do you
see.
do you need to comment on that at all? I know, you
I
haven't
don't
we haven't
know.
talked since the Grammys. Is Taylor Swift
That
the greatest artist of all time?
Oh my gosh. According to the Academy, she is.
Hmm.
4 Album of the Year's awards, beating Frank Sinatra's record, whose kids did congratulate her for it. I don't know what you got any statement, Rem? Killer Mike cleaned house. I don't know. His streams jumped up by 700%. It is sad to see him get arrested right after receiving those awards, but
Yeah.
your guy, I don't know. You were kind of right. Also, Victoria Monet, best new artist. I don't know. It sounded like we gotta listen to this pod. Like we said, you gotta listen.
Well,
I don't
like
know.
like we said in the preview, she was nominated the most within the Grammys amongst those artists. So that just seemed like a tip of, hey, we get the odds makers really like Ice Spice. I know there was some. We were talking to Fataport on Tuesday, and he said, "Is Noah Khan? Is that the right name?"
Yeah.
He said he
Yeah.
really liked Noah Khan, and the numbers for him on Spotify were really good as well too. But I mean, it was clear that the Academy liked her, so it just seemed like if you're going to pick somebody, that seemed like a good pick. And like we said too, Drake has history with the Academy, and I don't know if the Academy looks big picture at this kind of stuff, but I do think that he is going to have a real shot again with this next album, depending on what gets dropped, within the next couple of months here within the Grammy window. But the Killer Mike album just seemed to check a lot of boxes, and I don't the streaming thing is weird because just for some reason, even like the popular guys from back in the day haven't all necessarily translated over in the streaming numbers in the streaming playlist. And and part of that too, like I guess is part of that too, like on Spotify as well, where a lot of people are listening and discovering music through these Spotify playlists. You get like the Rap Caviar playlists, and you're
Yeah.
trying to promote the hot new stuff. But some of the older stuff gets lost. And Killer Mike, obviously a legend from back in the day. I think that like he has all the credentials to do it just because he's getting, 3 million or whatever the streaming number is on
like
Spotify compared to Drake. It's like, he has all the credentials to be a best album guy. And I thought the album was fantastic. Have you listened to it since he won? Have you checked it out?
A little bit. I have been listening a little bit.
It's good.
Yeah, and it looks like not all my picks were blanks. What was I made for did win best song. So I'm just saying, either Rem or I are right. You got to listen to the pod. We're on it.
The only one we didn't pick was Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Anyway, that one I wasn't gonna pick anytime soon. But
Sam forgot to pick Miley Cyrus, and I forgot underwear.
Yes. But yeah, man, this pod, we're all over the place. We're bouncing from one to the other. But let's get back on the Super Bowl. And as much as talk around it, Beyonce, just checking, was confirmed to be in a Verizon commercial. So that's what she was confirmed to be in the Super Bowl. But
so she'll be on the broadcast.
Yeah, somewhere. But there actually is a game ongoing between two football teams, the Chiefs and the 49ers. And, Rem, we hear a lot of stats, comparing these two teams. Even with the coaches, you look at the coaches. I mean, Kyle Shanahan still hasn't won a Super Bowl, but if he does, it'd be the first father and son head coaching duo to win a title. Andy Reid, first it's father and son, and any of the four major men's pro sports. So
I was just going to ask that
football,
too.
Basketball, and hockey. No one has before. Andy Reid, this would be, just like the rest of the Chiefs, would be his third and fifth Super Bowl appearance, third Super Bowl and fifth 5 appearances, and he'd be the fifth coach to win at least 3 Super Bowls. So it pretty much takes him to another level, just like Mahomes. He'd be up there with Belichick at 6, Chuck Noll at 4, Bill Walsh at 3, and Joe Gibbs at 3. So, but, then again, it's just, there's so much comparison going back and forth. The Chiefs, lost more regular season games than any other season with Pat Mahomes as quarterback. But then at the same time, Brock Purdy, he's the third youngest starting quarterback in Super Bowl history, literally Mr. Irrelevant. Like, it's just, you can go back and forth. But I mean, Red, my pick is the Chiefs. I'm ride or die. I can't, we already, like I mentioned last pod, I'm never picking against Mahomes in the playoffs until he has like multiple first round exits. And even then it'll be tough. Where are you leaning, Ren? Because I think you've been pretty much pro Mahomes most of this playoffs.
Unfortunately, we now know what Sam's going to do for the next 30 years in this pod. He's just picking the Chiefs every year in the playoffs. He said he's never going to pick against him again. But if you look at the odds right now, I think the Niners are favored by, I know the opening number was -2.5, and I just was checking some of the numbers. And I didn't check that, but I can't imagine that's moved too much. But like you're saying, I don't think it's just you. I think right now the public sentiment seems to be that the Chiefs are fully back as a team, that Mahomes is inevitable. And I think even Niners fans, I work with a Niners fan. Shout out to my guy, Randy, who I was asking him today how he felt. And he was like, I don't even want to say dejected is the right way to say it, but he was like, they might win, they might lose. Like, it didn't seem like he was like, oh yeah, we've been the best team in the league all regular season. Like, the confidence from the public perspective is fully back. And again, I know the odds have the Chiefs favored or the Niners favored right now, but on FanDuel, I think 75%, like 70 to 75% of the money is on the Chiefs bets right now. So like basically the entire majority says the Chiefs are inevitable. Pat Mahomes is inevitable. So like you said, I know you're picking the Chiefs because it's your guy, but like you're confident, I guess your confidence level compared to the first Super Bowl, or is last year's Super Bowl more comparable to this game than the first time you guys met? Because Mahomes was a little younger in that first matchup. It was his first time in the game.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is actually more similar to that first matchup just because, his reputation isn't nearly as established. There are question marks around him. And this year there are question marks, not necessarily around Mahomes, but the rest of the offense. it has been a lot less stable this year than normal. But like you mentioned, most of the public's on him, most of the experts are on him. ESPN, with their experts, 76% are picking the Chiefs, even though their FPI has the 49ers winning 59.4% of their simulations. And, talking to some of the people in the bank, I do agree as well. I think it is a lot shakier in terms of their confidence in the 49ers winning. And it's because of their last two games. I mean, not only very much struggling against the Lions, and then struggling almost even worse, it felt like, against the Packers. They didn't have as bad a first half, but just seemingly not, just making bad mistakes and not getting it together. Deebo Samuel getting hurt. And then, against the Lions, like we mentioned already, they're looking like, they're pretty much going home, or, even though they're already home. But it seemed like this team in the playoffs has been really shaky against, teams that at the beginning of the year, I don't know if we would have said top shelf elite. I think the Lions we knew would be, one of the best teams in the division, but, not necessarily super great quarterback play. Like, there's no reason, with their talent, that they should be down that much against them. And the Packers, everything I just said times 10. And so to struggle against both of those teams, and now you're going up against, a team that's been able to pretty much out macho everyone. They've pretty much been able to hold their own and haven't really gone down in the first, especially the first half have been pretty strong. The second halves have been weak, and that'll be a real big concern in this game offensively, at least. But with a really good defense and being able to, just pretty much not make mistakes throughout this postseason, and the 49ers being very mistake prone, it's very hard to see this team. It's very hard. Very, very hard to see the 49ers beat the Chiefs, just because of all the question marks that they have. And even when you compare it to their first Super Bowl against each other, I think the 49ers team, may have had a little bit worse quarterback play, but their team just felt a lot more stronger. I mean, you look at that NFC Championship,
Yeah.
Garoppolo only has like 5-6 throws. It feels like way better momentum to this year. So I don't know. I mean, this year's Chiefs team is definitely obviously weaker than their first year, but they're facing also what I feel weaker 49ers than that first time they played as well.
So you mentioned that the second halves for the Chiefs haven't been great. And I know, again, that the sentiment is that the Chiefs have been back as a team, but are the Chiefs back as a team, or like, is Travis Kelce back? And you mentioned that, yeah, the first halves have been good. There's definitely been a formula to how they've won their last couple of games. But I mean, that Ravens game, for example, that first score, I don't remember exactly if it was the first drive, but that first scoring drive, that was kind of just all Mahomes and Kelce. And they go for that fourth down where Mahomes kind of rolls out a little bit, rocket pass to Kelce. There's the play before that as well too. There was the third down. He was going to Richie James, and I believe Richie James dropped it. And on the next play, he has James open. Or no, this is the play where he flips it. He has the play where he flips it to Kelce down in the red zone later. And on the play before that, he tried to go to Richie James, and Richie James drops it. And then he has James open on the play where he flips it to Kelce and just kind of lets him go. And again, it's just like, Kelce's my guy. Got to get it to him. And then that touchdown play where it's one-on-one with him and Kelce and Hamilton, and Mahomes makes an excellent throw, but Kelce as well just makes an excellent play on the ball. And the way the offenses have kind of, again, it's not like shut down, but Mahomes did miss a throw on a third down in the fourth quarter of that Ravens game. The Ravens got the ball back. And again, to end that Ravens game, you've got the Ravens go down the field, Flowers fumbles at the literal goal line going into the end zone. And then that's the next drive is where Mahomes misses the pass. Lamar gets the ball, goes down the field, and then throws the pick. And you kind of had the same thing in the Bills game as well, where at the end of that game, Allen goes to Sherfield on the big third down pass, the deep shot. Sherfield drops it. Mahomes gets the ball back. They punt. The Bills go back down on the next possession. missed the field goal that should have forced overtime. So, yeah, I know that you've been able to get these wins, but has it been the Chiefs are fixed and fully back to the team, and again, they're inevitable, or has the Mahomes Kelce thing worked enough to get you through the AFC?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely B. Just because of, I mean, I think it's also credit to the defense, being able to allow them to be so inefficient in these second quarters, and pretty much not scoring. But I mean, it definitely the confidence comes from Mahomes' experience, playing against a much younger quarterback who has shown to be a little bit shaken this postseason. And, doing it not once but twice in terms of being underperforming, not really taking care of business is what concerns me if I were a 49ers side. And, like I mentioned, the Chiefs have had struggles scoring in the second half, but in the first half, they've gotten significant leads. Like there are times where you're like, oh, this team is dominant. And for the 49ers to not have that with their kind of talent is really concerning. So I think it's just I think the 49ers with their team, with what they have, they definitely underperformed so far. And the Chiefs have been overperforming a lot, is making Kelce pretty much revive his postseason career. And I'm really going to be interested to see if Kelce can continue that because he may be the key to cutting up this zone that they'll probably be playing in this game.
The zone is going to be a tricky thing for the Niners because the Lions were definitely able to attack that, and Goff was able to hit a lot of the underneath stuff. I know we love the linebackers for the 49ers. Don't forget, this is the #1 Fred Warner pod with an Ultimate Frisbee segment recorded on Zoom, National Sports Podcast. So don't years. Yeah, Dre Greenlaw as well too. We're a big supporter of the Niners linebackers, but the zone coverage that they were playing against the Lions, they don't really blitz as well either too. And the thing is, like, I was going back and watching that last Super Bowl that you guys played, and that's young Mahomes. It's a little bit different. The offense with Tyreek Hill is a little bit more attacking down the field. So a lot of the underneath stuff, Mahomes didn't really go to that in that first Super Bowl. And that is, a lot of the reason too why they were losing that first game is because Mahomes making big plays. They're not able to convert. He does hit Tyreek on the 3rd and 15, obviously at the end. Garoppolo as well too misses his throws, but you're right. That zone is going to be a tricky thing. But to go through the Niners path a little bit, like so you don't value the Lions as a elite team this year? What's your grade on the Lions? It's like they were like a B+ team to you? They're not A tier.
I think they're a collection of talent. By the end of the year, they were an elite team. But it is just the 49ers shouldn't be down that much to them. I think you go fair. Player to player and, Brock Purdy to Jared Goff, maybe give Goff the edge. But beyond that, I think, position to position, and I think a lot of people put it best, like the 49ers are just a better version of the Lions. And they play very similarly. They have similar, stars in similar positions. But the 49ers, man, like have a better roster. And to be down that much, they found a way to win, but to be down that much at home was really concerning, especially since the week before there was all these, complaints about, mud and not being able to grip the ball. But that week just straight up being beat by this team. And, they figured it out in the second half. There's adjustments made. But, like we mentioned already, the Chiefs this postseason have been used to getting those huge first half leads and actually keeping them. And the 49ers can't keep doing what they're doing and giving the Chiefs chances to score.
So that is a good point too, as well, because if there's anything that, like, the Niners, the way the Niners have played this postseason would work perfectly into the Chiefs' game plan for winning this. A slow start, the Chiefs are able to jump out, score a couple on the first drive, and the defense is able to maintain. But I do think that the Lions were like a really good team this year. I think the offensive line is really solid. Hutchinson as well too. I know there are some weaknesses in the secondary, but the offensive line in the run game, and Goff was clutch in this in this matchup against the Niners as well too. I thought that, Campbell had his moments and there was a couple of drops, and the Lions could have easily have won this one. So I do think that, yeah, you could look at some Niners question marks. I know a couple of the biggest plays that Purdy made were chaotic catches, where he's got the one-handed catch from Jennings and he's got the pass off the face mask of the defender that ends up going to Ayuk. Like, I do understand that. But again, I do think that the Lions are good. And I think that, and Stephen A, I think, said this on First Take as well, too. But I think that Packers game, I think that might say more about the Packers than it does about the Niners. Because aren't the Packers the youngest team in the league? And Jordan Love, his first year as a starter, to go toe-to-toe with the Niners like that, I think that's something where we're like, okay, going forward, we definitely have to keep an eye on the Packers. I definitely agree with Stephen A on this one. So I do think that there is some competition here for the Niners to get to that path to the Super Bowl. And Purdy being able to figure out a way to win these games, where the fact that he won that Green Bay game without Deebo Samuel, and then again figuring out where he's scrambling around in the Detroit game, like Purdy's mobility have won them the first Super Bowl? Because they kind of blitzed. They were really blitzing and going after Garoppolo at the end, and that's part of the reason. Like that fourth down that ultimately ends the game is a perfect example where Garoppolo under pressure, two-handed tries to like throw the football out to the running back. Nothing ends up happening, but it was a lot of the pressure, a lot of the moving around. So what would scare you? So you're not, is the mobility thing for him compared to Jimmy scare you more than the fact that like he's never been in the game?
It's just, well, first of all, I mean, I think we were able to contain Lamar, able to limit him. I mean, he probably should have scrambled more than he did. But, the defense did find a way to stop Lamar from tearing it up by running inside, by finding those holes. Because I think something that was mentioned really well by some commentators is that while Purdy's a good scrambler, their offense is built for him to scramble in the middle. They just, the way their routes are, distracting most of the team, drawing a lot of attention because of how many stars they have. More often than not, their middle does have that opening. And so the Chiefs, coming off of playing a team that had that many weapons, that, their quarterback could actually, has that agility, that next level sprinting skills, to be able to stop him completely in that team. That's what gives me confidence against Purdy, against this team. And, I know the 49ers have a way better running game, but in McCaffrey, but I think that the D-line for the Chiefs has definitely stepped up to a level where we can trust to normally stop the running. And it's something that wasn't an issue for us against the Ravens, who are known for their run game. So I think, with all that and all that in consideration, I'm definitely confident with the Chiefs winning. And, I just want to be clear, I think the Lions are a good team. It's just, I don't know. It just felt like they stole a lot of stuff from the 49ers in terms of plays, how to build their team. You look at what were their drafting priorities. And, they just went really down big to them. So we'll have to see how it ends up. But, with all those, the Ravens game definitely gave me a whole lot more confidence in the Chiefs actually being able to pull this off.
But did you feel like you guys like actually stopped the Ravens? Because I felt like the Ravens were both the Ravens and the Bills were able to move the ball in the fourth quarter. And if the Bills make the field goal, they go. But if they just make the field goal, and was it even a long field goal? Was it like 40 yards? Was it 50?
50. I thought it was 50-ish.
I think it might have been in the 40s.
There is a field goal.
And it goes to overtime. The Bills have a bad history in overtime with the Chiefs, so you never know. But you've lost the biggest moment of these games to these teams, and Mahomes makes a drive at the end of that Bills game as well too, to run the clock out, so they don't end up getting the ball back. But a 44 yarder from our guy Tyler Bass.
A 44 yarder.
A sub 45-yard field goal.
Who knows? I don't. The thing with I don't know. I mean, it was like the field goal, even if he is giving it up, I mean, there's a very high chance that he still could have gotten that still gotten the win in overtime. And I think it's the same thing with the Ravens is that they're like, oh, if he didn't have, a certain thing, he could have, if he didn't have the score, could he have gotten the win in overtime? Could have Mahomes drug down and gotten it? And it's like, yeah, he probably would have. I mean, this year is probably the first time we have serious questions about whether he would, but I think he definitely would have. In terms of still figuring it out, even if they did get the score, but they didn't, and it's just that pressure and being able to from that defense, and I don't know. I mean, I think there is a mental component to it too of that pressure in the playoffs. And this is Purdy's first trip actually in the Super Bowl, and I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him coming into this game that he hasn't felt before. And maybe it won't matter to him, but it can matter to a lot of people.
Is there pressure on Purdy to win this game?
I think there's a little bit. I think
there obviously
there's
is.
A little
it's
bit
the
of,
Super Bowl, but
will he be back? Yeah.
The 70% of the money is on the Chiefs. Everybody needs the Chiefs to win. Everybody thinks the Chiefs are going to win.
Yeah.
So if Purdy goes out there and plays okay and they lose or whatever, like I think we can all see the world where Purdy has the game and the Chiefs lose and we still go, okay, Purdy needs to be the guy that returns to the Niners is the next season. But again, he's on the rookie contract. He's Mr. Irrelevant. He's super cheap. He's proven that back-to-back years he can, like, you could argue last year they should have been in the Super Bowl if he stays healthy. So back-to-back years he's made Super Bowl level runs. I think he's probably pretty safe as the long-term starter. And if nobody thinks he's going to win, what is the mentality of all these guys? Obviously we know Mahomes is like, he's not in that Brady level, that cruising zone yet, but this is his third trip. So like he's super familiar. We know he's good to go. Are you worried about Kelce at all for this one?
No.
He's been talking a lot about, the Taylor Swift. She just got the Grammy. He needs the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not worried about him at all. I think he's going to be the difference in this game, I think. I mean, obviously, the number one wire option for Mahomes is going to be a big difference. But like we already mentioned, against the kind of defense that they're playing with, and also him being his experience being in the Super Bowl, being, a two-time Super Bowl winner. Rashee Rice wasn't there for our last one. Tony was, but, we know we can't trust him. And, it's just him being the main guy from that last Super Bowl, him and Mahomes, kind of their last ride. Because I do feel like, Kelce, this is probably his last good to great season out of him. Like he was kind of struggling. He's kind of obviously struggling after.
But it was drops mostly, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was drops, but I mean, there was also partially, you could see he wasn't getting open sometimes. I mean, and even if it was drops, I mean, that's also on him too, being mentally ready, which is something I'll talk about later. But about me, but it just, yeah, I don't know. It was definitely, it's. I think he is a good big part, but I think experience is the main thing that is going to count. That I think experience is the main thing that divides the Chiefs from the 49ers. And it's what has divided. It has pretty much been the contrast between their two different Super Bowl runs. And the Chiefs and the 49ers definitely have players who've been to the Super Bowl, who are still on this team from that run, in Fred Warner, in Bosa, and some of the other guys on the team. But just you could see what that the Chiefs just being in the Super Bowl last year in that playoff run, and then coming into this year, going through the playoffs again, you could see a different level of confidence. And confidence is key.
And it's not just like that they have guys back for the Niners. I think it's important that the core, like outside of Purdy, the core of this team from that Super Bowl team is mostly still there, because like take the Eagles, for example, that you guys played in the Super Bowl last year. I know they're similar with the Niners. They were 2 Super Bowls, I think, in 5-ish years, rebuild, making the run, getting back. But I think they only had like 2 or 3 guys that were originally on the team. I think it was like Kelce, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, just like a couple of the main staples, maybe Lane Johnson as well, too. If he wasn't, maybe they drafted him the year after they won the Super Bowl. I don't remember for sure, but just like a handful of guys that remained from that Super Bowl team. And these are the best players from the Niners that are not just back and have the experience, but they have the chip on the shoulder as well, too. And again, we talked about these guys are kind of the underdogs. So you got Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams, both the linebackers. I think it's underrated as well, too, that Ward was on the Chiefs. And it's not just that he was on the team that you're playing, but he has experience. He's been in big games. He's comfortable in these moments as well in the Super Bowl. And Hargrave, he was on the Eagles last year. He's made a deep run. Pause. So like a lot of the guys on this team have been in the big playoff games. I guess it's McCaffrey. I guess this is his first Super Bowl. So it's him and Purdy are the 2 new guys, but I don't think McCaffrey mentality wise will be bothered at all. But have you been like blown away with the McCaffrey run at all? He just won Offensive Player of the Year too. Have you been how would you grade the McCaffrey playoffs this far?
Yeah, no, he's been great.
Okay.
Yeah, I think McCaffrey hasn't been the problem. And I think he could definitely make a push for MVP if he plays great in this game. And I don't think the defense hasn't been as strong as it should be. But yeah, I think defenses have been able to really find a way to get pressure and really make Brock Purdy uncomfortable. And I think they've found ways to really get leads on them. And we'll have to see. I don't, this game, it really could go any way. And I wouldn't be too surprised. I could see the Chiefs blowing them out. I could see the 49ers blowing them out. I could see it be a close game. It's just, I mean, we have these 2 teams are, one of the, I think 2 of the 4 teams that were like top 10 in defense and offensive DVOA. So like, these are 2 good teams, but they both have been pretty variable in their performance throughout the year, with the 49ers having that Ravens game, Chiefs, having the most losses ever in the most regular season losses ever in Mahomes' career and during a career start. So it's just I think for sure there are, like I mentioned, there are veterans on the 49ers, but it got to lean the Chiefs because just the quarterback. And it's the same way I've picked against Mahomes most of the time. It's because of how much talent is on the other side and how good they are. But apparently that's not enough. That's not enough for him. He's in the Super Bowl, so I think he'll overcome it again.
So you mentioned the fact that McCaffrey now has a chance to make a run at the MVP. I think obviously everybody would agree. But do we need to do like a who needs to win the MVP power ranking? Because we could do like, who's most likely to win, who do we want to win, but who needs to win the MVP? Obviously for the Chiefs, Mahomes needs to win MVP. And I don't think this is as much a Chiefs thing as it is like a Niners thing as well too. But is there anybody outside of, like, what is the percentages for the other guys in the Chiefs outside of Mahomes? It's like Mahomes 98%.
Yeah.
Kelce 1.5.
Oh, you mean like if you did a pie chart?
Yeah.
I think it's Mahomes like 40%, and then I think it's Andy Reid 40%.
Oh, give the Super Bowl MVP like to the 10. Coach. First ever?
Oh, Super MVP. I mean, I thought you meant who's most important in terms of who needs to win the Super Bowl the most. But the MVP, yeah, I think it's Mahomes 98. It's not close. Like 99. I'm not giving anyone a chance. There's no one who's played that well this year. I mean, besides the defense on the offensive side of the ball, I don't think anyone's played elite. And unless Chris Jones goes off for like 5 sacks and a strip fumble recovery,
yeah.
Like I don't. maybe L'Jarius Sneak gets pick six, like 2 pick sixes, 3 picks in total,
So a
something like that.
historic defensive performance.
Yeah, outside of a historic defensive performance, I think Mahomes got in the bag.
What if Karlaftis like swoops in with a sack and a half and maybe an interception? He gets like a
He
sack and a
needs
half.
like 3 sacks. Yeah, three
Okay,
or four sacks.
What about this? 2 sacks, but intercepts a screen for a touchdown. 2 sacks and a
No,
pick
they're not giving him
six.
that. Over Mahomes, he
Two
needs like 4 or 5 sacks. You
two
need something stupid to beat
two
Mahomes.
2 sacks, a pick six, and one of the sacks is a strip fumble recovered at like the 20-yard line.
Mm-hmm. So 2 sacks and a strip fumble and an interception, maybe.
Well, I guess 2 sacks with one of them being a strip fumble, so not 3 sacks.
No. You need like 4 or 5, maybe 6.
Two
It's Mahomes.
2 strip sacks, an interception return for a touchdown, a strip fumble, but he also returns that for a touchdown. 2 touchdowns.
Oh. I don't know. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. The game ends like 17-10. I think you kind of have to give it to him.
Okay, so the defensive player has to outscore the Chiefs offense in order to win that MVP.
Yeah, pretty much. Which hasn't been too hard this season.
Yeah. Kadarius Toney steps in and returns he returns a punt and a kickoff and a screen.
People want to hate on Kadarius so much. 3 touchdowns is crazy though.
He won you your last Super Bowl. The punt was big.
That was huge.
The punt was big.
So who's your pick? Gun to the head.
Gun to the head. Well, don't do that.
Yeah.
I think I got to go with the Niners.
Oh, he's zagging. I don't know. It's not like you're kind of leaning.
Is that
Mahomes.
a zag? I'm picking the favorite.
You're leaning Mahomes a couple.
I'm picking the best team in the league.
All right.
I think the Purdy mobility thing is huge. And if we're talking about who needs to pause the huge, if we're talking about who needs to win the MVP for the Niners, and I guess if we're just talking about who I like too for odds as well, I think Deebo Samuel like has to be the MVP / very likely could be / probably will be / I don't know. Like, I don't really know how you guys stop Deebo Samuel. He didn't get a ton of touches in the last Super Bowl, but he had 3 carries for 50 plus yards. He was amazing every time he got it. And in the game against the Lions, in the fourth quarter, they kind of boiled the offense down to, in kind of just the second half as well, too. I think in the second half of that Lions game, 7 of Deebo's 11 touches came in the second half. And again, in the fourth quarter, really the drives that they had boiled down to McCaffrey, Deebo, and then Purdy. Yeah, he made some passes again to Deebo, but a lot of it was scrambling. There was a Kittle play, a use check play in there as well, too. But and if we're looking at the Ravens game that you guys just played, again, Zay Flowers did make some plays. Yeah. And on that touchdown drive, he got open down the field a couple of times. And again, was literally diving for the end zone. Almost should have scored or gone down at the 1 and made a huge play that set the Ravens up in scoring position. So does Deebo Samuel fumble on that play? I think that could be I know, again, CMC is the guy, offensive player of the year. He probably is going to get the most touches on the team. If he had to bet, he's the safest bet. But I think Deebo kind of has to have the biggest game, and I do question how you guys are able to stop him. Are you worried about slowing down Deebo at all?
I mean, yeah, like he's kind of the what is it like? He's kind of the do-it-all, Swiss Army knife for the team. Like he can do it. He can do whatever they need him to do. Like he can just he can do whatever they want him to do. Like in terms of like the answer to every question on the test. Like you need a wide receiver, you need someone outside, you need someone to run it. Like their offense with and without Deebo is very noticeable in how good it is, how it's changed. Because with him out, you kind of have everyone in their roles. Like, IU can do some screen stuff, but, he doesn't have as much of the strength to really hold up. And, McCaffrey isn't super tall, to get, or not as, long to go up and get those tough throws. And yes, and then Kittle, he's more of a blocking tight end. It's not saying that he's not an elite, pass catcher, but it's definitely not as, I don't think it's a strength. And yeah, I think so. I think Deebo is kind of their everything person, and without him, it makes this game a lot tougher. But like you mentioned, I think he should be back, and he will be a headache on Sunday.
Is Tooney back? Is he playing? Is he healthy? Because he was out for that Ravens game, and a big part of why the Chiefs were able to, or why the Ravens were able to hang in that game for a little bit, why the Chiefs offense slowed down in that second half, was the interior pressure from Matabuke and those guys. And I know he was a second team All Pro. There is he's a fantastic player. There is reasons for that, but Tooney was a first team All Pro this year, so not having that guy is a big reason. Do you have the injury report?
Let's see here.
Because if he's not playing, I feel like if the Niners are able to get some kind of interior pressure with Hargrave against the Chiefs, having Bosa and Chase Young on the outside is just a little bit of a step up from what the Ravens were able to put out there. So I think that injury could be a big thing.
It does look like Joe Tooney is out because of his pectoral. So that is huge. I think I can't remember who they had switching over there. But yeah, he is out. And then, yeah, it looks like everyone else is good. Like Jerry Sneed. Yeah, there's some other injury guys. And then, yeah, the 49ers don't have anyone out. Everyone's back. So, yeah. Yeah, I guess no excuses from the 49ers. But yeah, Joe Thuney is out.
I think the biggest thing that the Niners are going to have to look for is obviously Purdy, like we were saying, he's going to have a lot of eyes on him. But the thing that when you're going against Mahomes in these games now, it's you have to be perfect. And again, Purdy has been able to be mobile, and that's added an extra dimension to this offense. But Mahomes in the last Super Bowl didn't have any turnovers, 0 picks, 0 fumbles. He had 131 passer rating. Didn't have a turnover in this Ravens game. Has he had a turnover at all in this playoffs?
Who hasn't?
Mahomes?
I thought he did have a pick, but let me check.
But at least, in the last Super Bowl, last conference championship, 0 turnovers. Yeah. And like we're saying, Purdy, again, he's made plays, but he had his second highest bad throw percentage of the season against Green Bay in that game. And then Detroit as well, too, had a couple of passes, like we said, that the one off the face mask. And then I believe there was another one, too, that got dropped by a Detroit player as well. So that's why I think Deebo is going to be important for this one, because you're going to be able to get him involved without having to rely on Purdy to be perfect. Same with McCaffrey, but Deebo, I think, obviously brings that extra gear of explosiveness. So
yeah, Mahomes has had 0 interceptions and 0 fumbles. And yeah, he had almost at least a touchdown in every game.
So when was the last time Mahomes turned the ball over in a playoff game? Because again, he didn't turn it over in the Eagles game.
FL.
Okay, he had a fumble. He had a fumble in the Bengals conference championship.
Yeah, is that?
But no picks.
Loss. Yeah, no picks.
And then you guys played the Jags the round before that. No picks, no fumbles. We'll have to go into the next year playoff to see what's going on. 1 fumble in the last 6 playoff games for Pat Mahomes.
That's what I'm saying. He did have 2 picks against Tampa Bay. Yeah, that horrible Tampa Bay Super Bowl.
Okay, he had a pick against Pittsburgh in 2022. You guys beat him 42-21, and he had 5 touchdowns. So tough to look at that. Tough to look at that. But again, the next week against Buffalo, that's the iconic divisional round matchup. Yeah. 0 fumbles, 0 picks, and then you guys lose to the Bengals in the next one. He has 2 picks and a fumble not lost, but two whole playoff runs without an interception. Hopefully we didn't just throw the jinx on him.
We'll see. Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like you're jinxing him because you're picking 49ers. So, but yeah, I think, Mahomes, even not, forgetting the fumble stats. I mean, he has great sack stats as well. Rarely taking a sack. I think he is second in lowest sack rate. And so, he just doesn't get sacked, stays up and finds a way to throw the ball away. And that's huge yards every single time. So, yeah, I think he's definitely done his best to mitigate the other team's bad plays, or the other team's, I guess, good plays for them and bad for the Chiefs plays, and keep them in the game because that's what they need. That's what they need from him, and that's what he's going to bring.
So, what worries you more in this game then, the Niners or the fact that Bovada was running a prop where there was going to be an alien invasion? Because if Vegas has a prop, they know something.
Yeah. Maybe the alien invasion. Is the headquarters in Vegas near Area 51?
Oh. This is the first Super Bowl near Area 51.
Yeah. I don't know.
Whoa. Have the aliens been waiting this whole time for the Super Bowl?
Maybe they're here already.
They've said, okay, what is the biggest event? Is the Super Bowl the biggest single event in the world? 1 year?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, here in America it is.
Well, and when the world, like you were saying too, when the World Cup was around, the World Cup is obviously bigger than the Super Bowl. But in terms of a year-to-year event, is the Super Bowl the biggest event? And they're like,
I don't think so.
At least for America, anyways, if they say we want to go to America, what's the biggest event in America every year? It's the Super Bowl. Well, we need to wait for it to be close to our guys. And finally, the Raiders have relocated to Vegas, the stadium. This has been the most watched playoffs this century. I think they said since 98.
Yeah.
All eyes are going to be on Pat Mahomes. And Taylor Swift is there, bringing even more eyes. All the dots.
She's definitely enjoying her time being there. But yeah, it's gonna be a packed house. But yeah, that's why I talk about all the pressure on them, because it's just so much extra stuff going on with Taylor Swift and other names in that building. So yeah, well, we'll see. We will see.
So we've got Wizards, Celtics on in the background right now. We're recording this Friday night. Celtics have pulled away. This one was close for a little bit, but end of the third quarter, Celtics pulled away. Pritchard has hit 2 half-court shots in this game.
Oh, really?
Oh, 2 wait. This is live. This is a live watch. I think. I don't think he got it off in time. I don't think it's going to count. But regardless, he has hit 2 half-court shots in this game. Shout out to Peyton Pritchard, our guy. Maybe the aliens are here. Are they Peyton Pritchard?
Is Peyton Pritchard
Is Peyton Pritchard an alien? He might be.
Also, shout out to the 76ers fighting with the Hawks, even though they don't have Embiid or Maxey playing. But within 6 or 8, wait, can I do math? 8, yeah.
What's the score?
122 to 114.
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, we can do that.
And the aliens are going to invade to an Usher soundtrack.
They just come down on a pole.
Coming up next, Sam's going to rank his top 5 favorite Usher songs.
I thought you were about to say top 5 angels. I was like that.